Guys, so today I'm going to be doing a quick video on servicing this reel. It's a Shakespeare Agility 6-3-1 4 bearing. You can see how all that line is spooled up on one side. Sometimes it'll just stick in one. See that? Like that. We're gonna take this thing apart, clean it, service it, and then I'm hoping what the issue is this pawl right here, which is what rides in that worm gear and causes it to go back and forth. It could be the worm gear is worn out also, so we'll see once we get it apart, but try to repair it and keep it going. And pull that spool out. And there's one of our bearings right there. Lighting kind of sucks in here, but looks good. Got our brakes there as well. Got another bearing right here on the spool. It feels good. Looks like we're missing a screw right here, actually. I think we just need to pull this screw and we can actually get that pawl out of there and take a look at it. Little bitty screw. Yeah, so it looks like we're going to have to pull the other side before we can get that pawl out of there. Which is fine, that's what we were going to do anyway. We've got a Phillips head holding this cap on. I'll just leave that screw in there for now. That cap fits over that nut right here, holds it in place. And that comes off, handle comes off. This little washer, or I think it's a tensioner of some kind. Spin our star drag off there, and this is just a plastic star drag. It's, like I said, it's not a very expensive reel. We've got a couple washers right here, spacers. Right here, there's a spacer right here as well. That can come off. Now we've got 3 screws here. We got one here, and then there's supposed to be one here. That I'll have to see if I can find one for that. Let's see. I don't think this cap has to come off. Yep, we got one more on the inside here. Right on the inside of that. Right here. It's a little longer than those other two, so we'll have to remember that. I think that we'll free this side up. Yep. So this side's gonna pop off. We've got the inner workings here, our main gear, some other gears. I do have a bent spring here that got bent at one point that could possibly need replacing, but it seems to be working alright. So yeah, I think at this point I'm just going to pull this gear and bearing off. And we'll go ahead and pull these springs off so we don't lose them. Everything else on here, this little worm gear here, I guess it's a worm gear or a pinion gear or something. We'll go ahead and pop it out too. And yeah, teeth look good on that. So now this this plate that covers that pawl just pops out. And this rod that just fell out. So it think everything's going to stay on there. Now we've got access to this line guide and this pawl cover. So I'm going to pull that cover off. Get that pawl out of there. And there it is. You can see how that one's, the radius of that pawl is quite a bit bigger on that worn one, on the old one. There's a pretty good comparison of the two. It's hard to get a good shot of these, but you can see how this one is quite a bit more worn down than that one. Radius is bigger. It's worn down to sharper points. So hopefully that's going to fix this up. So I'm going to go ahead and service this thing while I've got it apart. I'm going to leave that worm gear in there. You can pull it out if you, there's a C-clip right here. I have pulled it out before to check it. It looks like it's decent. That could be part of our problem too if that worm gear is worn, which it probably is worn to some extent, but that could be contributing to the problem. We'll see, but I'm going to just go ahead and leave that in there. Just use some WD-40 on this thing. We're just going to spray everything down with some WD-40. Get that dirt and grease broken down so we can get it off there. Decent on this side. It's not too bad. It looks pretty clean in here. I mean, it was a combo. I think it was, I don't know, definitely sub $100 when I bought it, but it's been a long time ago. It came with a, I believe it was a Cabela's guide series or pro guide reel or rod that I eventually broke somehow. Alright, I'm gonna just finish scrubbing this main housing down and then I'll come back. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some grease on this worm gear. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of grease in there, not a whole lot, but just fill up a couple of those channels with some grease. I'm using just this Abu Garcia real grease. And then on the side here I'm going to put a little grease on these gears as well. I like to do about 1/3 to 1/2 of the gear with grease. Fill the teeth up. And then I'll just turn the gear and that'll spread that grease out. Drop. There we go. And we'll just rub that in just to keep that lubricated. Get some in those threads. I've got some real oil as well. I'm going to put just a little bit down in here in this mechanism. Drop this new pawl in here. Just like that. Got it locked down in that gear. See it riding across there now. Seems to be working alright. Reinstall that pawl cover. Good to go. And at this point I'm going to just wipe this thing down. And that will go in through here. The line guide, it goes through the line guide. And then back over into this side. Here. We'll put our little cover here back on. I might wipe it down just because it's off. It's really not dirty, but a little bit of dust on there. Pop that on there. Little new grease. just like we did on the other one. There we go. And we can reinstall our springs. I'm actually going to flip that one that's bent. Maybe that'll help keep it on there better. Okay, now we got our main bearing and our main gear. So I just pulled the inner, I guess it would be the race out of this bearing. Check the rollers. It's a roller bearing. It's got little rollers in there. You can see them, probably not. Pull this. We've got a gear there too that I didn't see with the drag washer. Got a big washer up front here. Get that old grease off there. Got this washer here. That cleaned up. And then we've got our main gear. Get that old grease off there. Alright, drop this washer back in. That washer back in. Gonna go ahead and wipe this gear and washer down as well. Then we'll go ahead and drop these back in. That. Drag washer on. I think that's the right order. Put some real lube on that guy. Perfect. Okay, got our side cover here. I'm going to go ahead and put a drop of lube. I'm not going to take that level wind off there, but I am going to put... I'm sorry, that's not the level wind. That is the free spool adjustment. I'm going to put a drop of lube down in there. And we'll just wipe out any of this excess dirt in here. Now this cover can go back on. Okay, good. Drop this washer back in. Our spacer. And we'll do our reinstall our screws here. I got the one on the inside first, which was a little bit longer one. Alright, I had to swap batteries there. So I got this first screw in on the inside. We've got these two to put back in, and I'm gonna have to get that one of these screws. I'm sure I can find one at the hardware store. Alright, now we can reinstall the handle. We got these two washers. So drop our two washers on, tighten our star drag back up. I'm gonna clean this handle off. And then we got our tensioner device. I'm not positive that another washer doesn't go underneath that. But that's alright. Put a nut back on. Put our cap back on. So that's not lining up right there, so we're going to have to either tighten or loosen by about 1/8 of a turn. We'll go just a touch tighter. And that lets this screw line up with its hole. Alright, I'm going to put a little drop of real lube on that bearing there. And then we'll drop that spool in place. Good. Got this other side. We'll go ahead and let's wipe that out real quick. That's good. I'll put a drop of lube there on that bearing. And that side just twists on. Good. It's turning good. Sit here and watch that level one go. Yep, that fixed it. Looks good. So if you start ending up with spools that look like this, it's kind of hard to see on here, but more line on one side than the other, more than likely your level one's not working. And a lot of times it can be that just that pawl is worn out. It's a couple bucks to fix it rather than replacing the reel or trashing it or whatever. You know, go online, order a replacement, and keep the reel going. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. We'll see you next time.